So we saw that Upanishad starts with a statement that all that is here is Omkar. Okay? Now Omkar is used as a name for what? The cause of the universe. Right? So, how now do I understand that the cause of the universe is everywhere? Okay? So this is something, there is a methodology used to make me see that the cause of the universe is everywhere. Okay? Now I also need to then ask one question, who am I with reference to this cause of the universe? Okay? So there is immediately a second line that I am Atma, Brahma, and that Atma is Chatushpad. Okay? So therefore, and then the Upanishad starts talking about Atma and not about Om. Please understand how the Upanishad is proceeding. Okay? So in the vision of Upanishad, what they want to convey is that this Ishvara, the Omkar, the cause of the universe, right, and between you there is an identity. Okay? That's why he starts right after Omkara, that is Ayam Atma, and after Ayam Atma he says Ayam Atma Chatushpad. Okay? So then it says, now what is the first quarter of this Atma? The physical body. Okay? Now this physical body, it says it has how many? Saptangaha and Eko Vimshati Mukha. It has 7 limbs. What are the limbs that are talked about? The head, eyes, the trunk, the respiratory system, the legs,
space.
Space. Now that is, first is the individual, right? The individual is what? The head, the mouth, the eyes,
Bladder.
Exactly, right? The respiratory system, the bladder, the trunk, the legs. Okay? So this is what a human being is, and this is what we call the physical body. Okay? And it has 19 different doors through which it interacts with the world. Okay? What are the 19 different doors through which it interacts with the world?
5 organs, 5 actions, 5 sense organs, 5 pranas, 4 aspects of mind.
Very good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now this is a Vishwa, this one individual. Okay, now this individual is this individual generally thinks that I am this and everything is outside. Now this individual is told, actually, you are not outside, you are inside. You are inside what? The entire physical universe. Okay? What does this entire physical universe constitute? So this is where Surya says that an imagery is used where the entire physical universe, right, just as you have head and eyes and mouth and a respiratory system and a bladder and legs, right? If you look at the entire physical world, right, what would be the head of this physical world? Heavens, right? All the stars and everything that is there. So many different things that we don't even know how many galaxies and how many stars and how many planets and how many, so much activity happening out there in this vast universe. It's all the head.
If you take it as that, I don't know. With the head, whatever makes up brain. I mean, I'm just imagining more.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Right? So all this is the head. Then what are the eyes of this entire physical entity? The sun and the moon are the eyes of this. Right? The respiratory system is what? The air. Right? Then the bladder is waters. And then the trunk is space. And the legs are earth. Right? And the mouth is fire. Okay? So that means if you look at Virat, the entire physical world, then it also constitutes all that. Don't think that it is only human beings and all, right? All the so many different entities are there in the universe which constitute physical universe. Stars, right? And everything else. The most farthest galaxies to this physical body of a little amoeba. It constitutes of everything. Okay? Then that whole physical, which is what we call Virat, okay, also has 19 mouths. What? Which includes who? What? The organs of action of not only me, but organs of action of who? Everyone. Human being, insects, animals, trees, everything, right? Organs of action trees don't have, right? But all the living beings. And then the sense organs of everyone. An eye of a bird, the eagle, which is able to see so far, is part of the same physical universe as what you are. You're part of one entity. Okay? So this is where it says that the sense organs of all the different creatures is part of what we call physical universe. Known to me and unknown to me. Please understand. Because Virat includes many things which are not known to me.
What is Virat again?
Virat is the entire physical universe. So one is Vishwa, which is your physical body, and then there is a total. This in Sanskrit, it's very easy to explain in Sanskrit because one is what we call Vyashti. Vyashti is this individual, and the other is Samashti. Samashti means the entirety. Okay? So you, me, the physical, my physical body, and then the entire physical setup which constitutes the universe. Okay? So within this air, water, fire, space, sun, moon, what is happening is there are lots of physical bodies. That's what is meant. And there are lots of different sense organs with different programming. And there are lots of respiratory functions which function very differently. Okay? The respiratory system of fish is very different from my respiratory system. They can breathe inside the water, I cannot breathe inside the water. It's different. But the physical universe includes all. It has programmed it differently than my respiratory system. Birds also have to breathe. Snakes also have to breathe. But their respiratory system is not exactly, the lungs are not exactly the same. The way they take in the nose and its shape is not the same. So there is this whole different arrangement within which similar, same functions are happening. Okay? So therefore, it includes sense organs of everyone, the organs of action of everyone, it includes respiratory pancha prana of everyone, it includes the mind. Human being has these 4 capacities, but don't think that the cow, there is a very nice in Adi Shankaracharya's commentaries, he says that don't think that the animals, they have both perception as well as inference. It may be rudimentary compared to human being, but they still have it. So he gives an example and he says that you go towards a cow with a grass, okay, with a loving eyes, what will the cow do? It comes to you. Okay? So therefore, what? The perception is what? The perception of a cow is what? That there is a human being and then there is a grass. Okay? What is the inference that the cow is making? Now somebody is offering me something to eat lovingly. So the cow goes towards it. Okay? And you stand in front of the cow with a stick, with your hand raised. What will the cow do? It will run away. So what is the perception of cow? Sees a human being with a stick raised. What is the inference?
Danger.
Danger. Exactly. Okay? Every human, every living being, right, wants to protect one's life. Nobody wants to be hurt, including a cow. And that becomes, actually, I don't want to talk about it, but that becomes what the basis of dharma. How do I interact with the world? Just as I want to protect my life, a cow also wants to protect. Nobody wants to. You see a cow who's going to a slaughterhouse. You don't see it, but it's horrible. The cow sees the previous one being slaughtered and now is my next turn. And it wants to run away, but it has no way to run away. And it knows. And what happens physiologically to this cow is just, and that is true for every animal. They release chemicals which are like, this is your life protection mechanism, which is so much part of the whole thing. And you are all now belonging to the one system, and you're creating so much harm, you're creating so much imbalance in the system, and you think it's all external because you don't see it in front of your eyes, you don't think about it. Okay? So yesterday, Shona's question is like, how is it helping me to see myself within one whole system, which is a bigger system? How does it change my life? It changes my life very profoundly. Because if I'm in a system and if I'm a participant of that system, what I do counts. It doesn't only count for me, it counts for the whole system. I can't afford to just not think about things. What is human growth? You need to think about things. You have to make conscious decisions. Okay? Because each decision that you make, you are actually contributing to what? Either the enhancement of the world or what? Imbalance of the world. Okay? So this is something that when a change happens, when I see I change very fundamentally, I take all the precautions to what? Not do the minimum harm, to do the least disturbance to this system in which I am the part. That is my growth. Okay. Then comes, so you have a question?
Yes. But even if you don't interact, you are a part of the net, so things will come to you, and when you see you are involved somehow, even if you don't want to. Am I making myself clear?
No. I don't know. Okay, maybe we'll talk about it later because I need to proceed now. Because this is not the main point, so let me proceed. Then we will talk about it at night, right? Think about what your question is, I'll answer it. Okay? So therefore, this particular, now there is a shift where I see myself as part of one big system which includes physical body of everyone. And everybody has been given what? Some basic perception and inference, and everybody has been given this survival instinct. And this is what we call this Virat. Virat is my physical body is in it. And everybody else's physical body is also equally in it. And I have to use what? Make choices at every level which does the least physical harm to that whole system. responsible living. Okay. Then my mind, which is what we call Tejasa, okay, itself what? The subtle functions. Subtle functions what? 6 Saptanga and 19 Mukhas. Okay? Because wherever there is a physical thing, there is a physical heaven, there is an intelligence, a subtle thing which makes that heaven, which is what is heavens. The planets, the stars, they all have a place in this universe. Then you have the physical globe, which is the sun, but then you have the subtle aspect of the sun, which does what? So many, it has its own many functions. Then you have air. One thing is just the air molecules, but then the subtle part of it is what? All the functions that the air has in my life. How much oxygen? That's why when you go outside, you don't have the same oxygen, then you need different way to survive. You go and swim, you're inside, you go for what, scuba diving. Even within this earth, inside the water, the air is not available to you exactly in the same form. Then you take what? Oxygen tank behind you and then you go scuba diving. Okay. So air, what, where the entire intelligent system is what we call the subtle aspect. There is a physical aspect and then there is a subtle aspect. Okay. Then you have water, same. There is a physical aspect of water and then there is a subtle aspect of this water. The subtle aspect can be many things, you know. You can have the different functions that the water is what? Detoxifier, the biggest detoxifier. So that means the more water you drink, the purer your body becomes. That's what we call function of that water. Water is not just one physical element, it has a given function with reference to my life.
And that is a subtle.
That is a subtle aspect. Okay. Then you have the water, the air, the fire. Fire, what helps me in so many different ways. Keeping me warm, cooking my food, so many different things, right? Light, everything. Okay. So this is what we call this. The function is the subtle aspect. There is a physical and it's loaded with that given function, which is a unique function. What fire can do, water cannot do. What water can do, air cannot do. They all serve different functions within that whole system. Look at the universe like that. Okay. And within that, right, this fire, water, sun, moon, the planets, the stars, okay, are all the what? Subtle functions which are performed through different physical bodies. That also is what? Part of what we call Hiranyagarbha. So one is Tejasa, my subtle functions, and that subtle function itself is what? Part of a much bigger system which not only governs my subtle functions, but subtle functions of what?
Whole Hiranyagarbha.
Yeah, Hiranyagarbha. Right? The whole subtle functions of everything.
So the individuals is called
Tejasa. And the Samashti is called Hiranyagarbha.
And you form part of the...
You form part of that Hiranyagarbha. So, same thing, how I respond to the world, okay, it has implication for so many different what? So many different individuals. You think that, sometimes your child comes to you really wanting to talk to you and you're busy. And you said, hey, now not. You are a little irritated. That little irritation on your part maybe can happen a few times. Okay? And in the child's vision, you create this thinking that my mom or my dad, they don't like me. Okay? For you, it's a very insignificant thing. For that child who needs your attention, he comes with all his heart, wanting to talk to you, wanting to be with you, and is rejected. It's a huge scar, because it's a soft little mind which is just forming. Okay? And that scar the person carries through what? Life. Very simple things like there was a woman who was told by her mother, that, oh, I did not want you. Because they were not planning to have that child. And that, as a child, when you hear that I was not wanted, it is the worst thing a child can hear in one's life. Because you feel the universe for you is your parents, and they did not want you. Okay? All this is what we call Hiranyagarbha. You are working within a system. Please understand that. Don't think that this is just Upanishad talking about some Hiranyagarbha and I have to take notes and, oh, now what is Hiranyagarbha? It's not. It's talking about life, looking at life differently, seeing my subtle body as part of this whole system, and what I do has amazing implication on everybody else. Because there are laws which govern it all. It connects us all. It connects all subtle bodies. Okay. So this is where this child carries this not wanted for rest of her life, which actually disturbs so many different interactions. When that lady went to work, she always felt, oh, I don't deserve promotion. Who will give me promotion? This thing of, not wanted is translated in so many different ways by that person. Okay? When you are in your relationship, you always feel my spouse or that doesn't like you. It's got nothing to do with spouse. It's your memory of what you felt at times. Okay. When this child is interacting with a friend, always feels that, oh, maybe I'm intruding. Okay. So that means this is the disturbance created by you by telling things which you didn't even think about. Okay? And that what? The child interacts with others, and then that interacts with others. So you are creating a disturbance within the whole system by what? Your actions. It's not only about you. It's about the whole ecology of being. Because you are part of a very big system. You're connected, and you're connected to that system. Your actions count not only with reference to yourself, but also what? With reference to the entirety of how that system works. Okay? So you have your subtle mind, which is Tejasa, and you have what? The totality, the subtle mind of everyone. Okay? So again, if you are insensitive to, even our teacher used to say that when you are walking, okay, don't just pluck the leaves from the tree. There is no need. Okay? You are using your free will to do this harm. What is the need? If you want it for some purpose, then that is different. That amount of sensitivity one needs to develop, because you are part of the same, and the minute you disturb, the result comes back to you, as Surya was explaining yesterday. You can't do total non-violence, it's impossible. Right? Life lives upon life. You have to take food, and even if you take plant food, there is some harm done. There is no total ahimsa, it's not possible. Okay? But the sensitivity to do the least possible, you can what? You can become that person. Least possible harm. Okay? So this is what we say, this Tejasa and Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha includes all subtle functions of everyone and subtle mind of everyone. Okay. Now, that itself, now let's proceed further. And then it says, one more thing, that this physical was talked about as something which is available to you in waking state. The physical body is available to you in waking state. The subtle body is also available to you in waking state, but in dream it is available without physical body. So therefore you can see it very clearly. Okay? So therefore it says that in Swapna, that subtle body is available to you without its connection to physical body. What does it mean? You need physical body to go to sleep and to dream, obviously, right? But in the dream, whatever you can be in India and you can dream, that what? You are in Paris. So that means being in India, that experience is not at all available to you in the dream. The physical body is lying in India, but the subtle body is where? In Paris. In Paris. Okay? So that's when you see that there is something called subtle body. Because otherwise, you have no insight. Even though subtle body is there in waking, you will always ask the question, but how do I know that there is subtle body? So here you are given one experience where you will see subtle body without physical body. So that establishes the fact that there is subtle body. Okay? So it is available to you in Swapna. Then there is something which is what we call causal. Okay? So here we go to the next verse, which says, Yatra suptaha na kanchan kamam kamayate na kanchan swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. Okay? Sushupta sthanaha ekibhutaha prajnana ghanaha eva anandamayaha hi anandabhuk chetaha mukhaha prajnaha tritiyaha padaha. What is the third quarter? What is the third quarter of this Atma? The first quarter is physical body, which is my body and the entire physical world. The second quarter is my subtle body and the entire subtle world. The third is what we say, the causal body and the entire causal world. Okay? So we will say that how do I know? Again, Yatra suptaha na kanchan kamam kamayate na kanchan swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. Okay? What is available to you? The causal, which is reference to your body. Okay? You have a physical body and you have subtle body. Now how do I know that there is a causal body? Okay? The causal body is available to you. It is there, as Surya said, Vishwa has all three. The Vishwa has physical, subtle and the causal, all three. Okay? But in Sushupti, Sushupti is what? Deep sleep. You are given the glimpse of the causal body without the presence of what? Physical and subtle body. Experientially, for you, in deep sleep, the connection with physical body totally goes away. Right? With the dream, there is no dream. In deep sleep, there is no dream. Okay? So that means connection with subtle body also totally goes away. Can you then say that you don't exist in deep sleep? You are there in a resolved form, the causal form. The causal remains, there is a temporary resolution of physical and subtle from your awareness. Okay? But can you then say that nothing is there in deep sleep? You can't say nothing is there. Okay? The very fact that when you wake up and you say that I slept well means what? You were there, but what? Not experiencing connection with the physical and the subtle body. You were what? But what gives that continuity then? You wake up as the same person, which is the causal. In the causal, the physical and subtle resolve, but the causes remain, right? For you to again come back the next morning and have connection with what? The physical and subtle body.
Could you repeat this again? In the causal body, physical and subtle?
They resolve, right?
The resolve.
They resolve, right? But the causes still remain, okay? For it to again be connected to what? Physical and subtle body. That's why when you wake up, you again become connected to your physical and subtle bodies. Okay? So then that means that in deep sleep, everybody is given the experience of the causal body, which is existing without its connection to physical and subtle body. But because the causes remain, what? It again comes back to be connected to the physical and subtle body. So this is what we call the causal body, which is known to you in deep sleep. Okay? Now this individual, which is the causal, is what we call prajna. Okay? What it means is something which is very important. I want to talk about it before I go to the samashti. Okay?
Prajna and prajna are different.
Prajna. Prajna means knowledge. Prajna is this individual which is causal. Causal.
This is more experiential.
This is, I will explain what is causal, what I mean by causal. Okay? Please understand this because it's very important to understand what do we mean by causal, right? As I said, while I'm alive, right? So the deep sleep is considered to be causal, where I don't have physical and subtle body connection, but I still come back next morning because the causes for my entity, right, and my experience to go through those experiences are still there as a potential. Because every day, what is to be unfolded is something which is not known to me. What is going to be my next day? You have to wait and see what is there the next day.
Before that, this just the thought that if I am in that deep sleep and I get back alive.
Exactly. You get back alive with everything.
Everything.
Every connection has come back, right?
Come back.
Yeah.
And it's not that I am dead.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is what we call causal. You are there in an unmanifest. So we will see here.
As the same Savita.
It's the same.
As the
Exactly.
same Savita.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is everyday miracle.
Everyday miracle. Absolutely. Right? So here he explains, he says, Yatra Suktaha, when you are sleeping, Na Kanchan Kamam Kamayate. You don't have any desires, right? While in waking you can have this very strong desire of you want to do this and you want to go there, but in deep sleep, what happens to that desire? Completely resolved. Okay? Then na kanchan swapnam pashyati. I have no dream also. Okay? Not only I don't have any things with reference to connection to the waking state, but I also don't have any connection to the dream state. Okay? Then sushupta sthanaha ekibhutaha. That means I am in total deep sleep. I have that whole world which was there, both the physical and subtle is what? Resolved for me. Ekibhutaha means it is all just that differentiation is no longer available to me. All these varied names and forms which are what? Physical and subtle, they are not available to me. They all collapse in my state of what? Deep sleep. Okay? Ekibhutaha prajnanaghana. Okay? But it is something where the physical and subtle collapse, but the causal remains. That's why, as Niru very rightly says, she wakes up not as Nima, she wakes up as Savita and continues her life, and I resolve, right, myself completely in deep sleep, but I wake up as Nima. There is no confusion there. I don't take up somebody else's thing, right? So that means the whole thing is collapsed, but the causes remain, where what? My connection with one given body and mind, and my experiences which are yet to come, I will now continue to experience. Okay. What is unmanifest next minute, it is going to manifest. What will decide that this is what is going to manifest next minute are what we call the causal, the potential. It's not random. It follows a certain causes. This is what we call causal. Okay? There was a beautiful story in Mahabharata when Parikshit, after the war, Parikshit was cursed by somebody and said, you will live only for 7 days. Okay? He goes to sage Shuka, yeah, and he says, I have only 7 days. You please teach me something which will give me moksha. Shuka smiles at him. He says, you are lucky. He says, what? I'll be there only for 7 days and you're telling me that I'm lucky? He says, at least you know that you will survive for 7 days. I don't know what will happen next minute. This is reality. Next minute, what happens, we have no idea. Okay? But there is a connection between next minute and the present minute. Okay? And that is connected by what? It's not random. Connected by the causal. The causal, which was unmanifest, is going to become manifest. And what is manifest now will become what? Unmanifest. What decides what becomes manifest and what becomes unmanifest? What is the link? It is the causal. So that means everything that I do in my life, that the causes are constantly unfolding themselves, which will what? Make me go through different experiences. I don't know what my experiences will be in 5 years from now. Nobody knows. But it is governed by the causal. That much I know. It's not random.
What is the cause of the causality?
Sorry?
What is the cause? What's the cause of body?
Yeah, so we have to see that, but you must first understand what is bicausal body,
Now
right?
this unmanifest, manifest, but we still have our free will to do
Exactly,
all the time.
absolutely. But in the unmanifest, so for example, in deep sleep, you don't have access to your free will, right? But you're right, the way you will act today, right, is what? Adding to the causes which will give you the result tomorrow. Absolutely.
Also,
In your,
to react, couldn't that change your experience for tomorrow?
Absolutely.
So otherwise the same experience may come
Yeah.
back to you, react with or respond right away.
Yes. Exactly. So you need to change the causal too, right? Because we keep on, our whole focus is on what? Somehow, right? We want our body to be wonderful, so we keep jogging and doing this exercise and that exercise. And then we want our mind to be this, so we have all these techniques, right? To calm the mind, to breathe deeply and all. But we never address the causes. What is a fundamental cause? We always stay at what? Physical and subtle level. We don't, the more we identify the causal, because causal is something which is not tangible. The more we address causal, the better we produce subtle and physical. Because they have connection.
Causal is related to causes.
Exactly, which causal is related to causes which make your physical body what it is and your subtle mind what it is.
What did you say? The more we address the causal,
The better, exactly.
You hold
Because
the physical and
the causal actually decides what is going to be the physical and subtle. Because the next minute is going to manifest according to laws, right? So that means you create better and better causes, which then, exactly, which manifest is what? Better and better. What? Physical and subtle.
And these causes are related to the universal laws.
Now this is, yes, but I will talk about it. I want to talk about it. Yeah? I will talk about it. Let me just finish this, I will talk about it.
Okay, before you go to the last line, this Prajnana Ghana.
Prajnana Ghana means it is prajna is knowledge or experience which is undifferentiated. That means that you are there, but the physical world and the subtle world is not available to you. So you are in that potential, unmanifest. That is what we call Prajnana Ghana. And that unmanifest state is Anandamaya. Deep sleep. There is no bliss. We don't use the word bliss. There is no such word called bliss in Vedanta.
It means you're free of
So
any
you are,
troubles
yeah.
or-
So that is Ananda. That Ananda means that you are in a very happy state, right? And this is why everybody understands that, right? Human being needs deep sleep because not only it physically is required, but even mentally, as Shona says, it's highly what? Stress rejuvenating. Okay? Because everything that you're holding on during the day, you've totally shed it for 8 hours.
Sometimes it comes nightmares.
No, but that is part of the
That is
dream.
sleep.
That is
Oh,
dream.
but that's-
That is dream. A bad dream is called nightmare.
Whatever you dream.
Okay? The bad dream is called nightmare. Yeah.
That
We
is
are talking about deep sleep here. Deep sleep by definition means that there is no waking and there is no dream. Right? So this is what he says. It is something which gives a lot. It's a time for repair, rejuvenation. So that is something which is very desirable. Okay? And that Ananda book, Chetaha Mukhaha Prajnaha Tritiya Padaha. This is the third aspect of Atma. The Atma, when they say I don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay? So Upanishad tells me that hey, there are these three aspects. One is the physical, the second is the subtle, and the third is the causal. Okay. Then, what I want to go a little bit, because this is what we call the Vyashti. The Vyashti, the individual causal, in what I experience in the deep sleep. But the causal, as Surya says, is also in the waking. In the waking, how does it manifest? As I explained, that next moment, what is going to be my experience is decided by what? The present moment is connected to the next moment through which link? Causal. So it's there very much in waking. Don't think that it is not there in waking.
So Ajanta is available to us even in the waking.
Exactly, even in waking, otherwise the waking will never be available, right? So therefore there are moments where I don't have this demanding mind, right? I have a more conducive mind, right? Then I experience Ananda. It's resolved, my demanding mind is resolved for a while, right? And then the Ananda manifests, absolutely. Okay.
One thought to the other thought is the causal.
The connection. And that causal connect, while that thought is going on, also the causal is there. Then the next, and then the next is yet unmanifest, and it will become manifest. That entire connection, while it is there, when it is not there, it is what we call causal.
The gap.
Both. It is there in the gap and also while something has already come into being. Because what has come into being is also governed by the causal, right? It's not that only in between is governed by the causal. Then the minute it has to go, that is also governed by the causal.
So it will shift from one to the other.
Okay. So the causal is something. Now, this is with reference to while you're alive, right? And this is this causal which manifests. It's at work. Okay. Now, we have to understand that this causal, what happens to this causal when this physical body goes away? Because while you are alive, you know that there is this causal. But you need to ask this question, when the body is dead, okay, the same physical body, I have a doctor in Arna's class, and she said something very interesting. She says, until the time that a patient is alive, you call that person by name, okay? And all the doctors try so hard to save the life. And she said, the minute the person is dead, the whole attitude of doctors, they change. They don't even call that person. They said, body number 32 has to be, the whole terminology changes. And that body is no longer referred to as the person. And all of a sudden, these doctors, they have no connection. While the patient is alive, the doctor is trying his best to keep it alive. After that, there is okay, now my next. They don't sit and brood over a dead body. Okay. What has happened? The physical body is exactly what it was. Please understand, from one minute to the other, there is no change in physical body. What has happened?
There is no life. Cause has changed.
Wonderful. The subtle, right? What you call a alive body and a dead body is, the physical eye is still there, what has gone away?
Subtle.
The subtle. And because the subtle goes away, you don't see anything going because it's subtle. Subtle definition means that I can't catch it with my eyes. Okay? I can see your physical eye, but I have no idea how much your eyes can see. That aspect of your eyes is subtle with reference to me, because it's not physically tangible to me. Okay? So that means in that dead body, what happens is the subtle leaves the physical body. So we call it a dead body. Okay? But when the subtle goes away, then is it the end? No. What remains is the causal. The causal still remains. Okay? Which then gives rise to different bodies. Which gives rise to different bodies. So now you have to ask me, what constitutes this causal body? What is this causal body? So this is where okay. So this is where the Vedanta tells you what causal body is, right? We talked about this whole free will yesterday, that you have free will. Niru loves this terminology. How do you define free will? Niru, how do you define free will? Kartum.
कर्तुं शक्यं अकर्तुं शक्यं अन्यथा कर्तुं शक्यं.
Wonderful. Wow. Can you explain?
So free will means you can do something, not do something, or do it differently. So, like Nima explained, these glasses are lying here, I can choose to pick them up, I can choose not to pick them up, and I can choose to throw them away. Right?
Exactly. Okay. So that choice.
What is it called? Kartum Shakyam?
Kartum Shakyam, Akartum Shakyam, Anyatha Kartum Shakyam. Different areas.
Wonderful. Okay. That is what we call free will. I have a choice. And choice is something that you cannot underplay. So therefore, when I have a choice, and also as I told yesterday, that you have been given common sense to indicate how you should operate that choice. And I think both Shona and Savita said that basic rule is very, very simple. Okay? What you don't want others to do to you, you don't do it to the others. Very simple rule. Okay? And you know very well what you don't want others to do to you. Right? It's not a big rocket science to find out what I don't want others to do to me. I don't want others to be angry towards me. I don't want others to humiliate me. I don't want people to look down on me. I don't want people to manipulate me. All this is very well known. Okay. Even though I know, and it's not only that I know that I don't want others to do it to me, but I equally know others don't want it to be done to them too. But in spite of this knowing, sometimes or many times my actions don't follow what I know. Okay? So that means then I go ahead and do something which I know to be not the right thing to do. Okay? So that means I have made a choice. I have made a choice using my free will, going against the common sense value that I have been endowed with. Okay? Now that has a certain cost. Okay? It has a cost and a reward. If it is a kind of, if I go and stretch myself and help somebody, then it has a positive reward. Right? So therefore, one thing is what we call, the minute I go against universal value, there are two types of results that come to me. One is what we call seen result, and the other one is unseen result. The seen result is what we call drishtaphalam. Drishtaphalam is immediate kind of a feedback that is given to me. Okay? Showing the nature of my action, it will produce what? Guilt, fear, some amount of discomfort. That is nature's direct feedback to you, telling you this is the nature of your action. Okay? But that is an instantaneous feedback. But in addition to that, there is what we call the unseen result too. The unseen result of an inappropriate action which will accrue to you sometime in the future, but you have no idea when, how, where, is what we call papa. Okay. Now the other way, you know it is good, that a human being is expected to show love, care, consideration, compassion, reaching out action, helping others, generosity. These are things which are part of, because you are in that system. What are you doing? Your actions you are using to what? Enhance the whole system, and not to what? Create a distortion in that system. Okay. If somebody comes to you for help, you have all the right in the world to say no, because you are not obliged. Understand this. Okay? But if you go one step further and understand that person and you give your help, that is what we call, you're using your free will, what? To extend help to somebody. Right? And that has a reward. That has a reward because you are enhancing the entire system. You're improving, you're actually proactively working towards a better you, better other, and the better system. Because everything is interconnected. And that has a special reward. There is an instantaneous feedback which is in form of what? Satisfaction. And yesterday Savita's point was something very, very important, right? That we think we've done selfless service. There is no such thing called selfless service. You're doing it for yourself. You love this feedback that the nature gives you of feeling good. That is lovely. When you've done something good, right, you feel so expanded. Okay. The act of giving is a very big act because humans' tendency is to hold on, to hoard. You go against that tendency and you open up. Because somebody else's welfare also matters to you. My God, what a person. Your welfare matters to you, that's natural. And we are not saying help others at the cost of your welfare. But expand yourself that your welfare is not just defined by preservation of this little identity because you are working within a system. So that extension has what? You are creating unseen causes. Not only it gives you instantaneous feedback in terms of satisfaction, in terms of feeling good, in sense of certain expansion of yourself, but it also has rewards. Sometime in the future, which is what we call adrishtaphalam. Adrishtaphalam is unseen result of a good action is what we call punya. So punya papa, where do they go? Because they are unseen, they form what? The causal, which will what? Fructify sometime in the future. So what is this causal body that we are talking about? What does it constitute of?
The deeds. No, deeds.
It constitutes of this punya and papa, the unseen result of your actions. Good actions, what? Which is punya, it's all there, which is not yet fructified as what? Pleasant situations, pleasant bodies, pleasant subtle mind, bright mind. Even punya, people don't have one type of punya. You can have punya where you have a lot of wealth. You can have punya where you can be brilliant. Very different type of punya. Okay? You can have punya as somebody who's emotionally very, very good human being. May not be a brilliant person, may not be very rich, but very caring person. Punya itself manifests in so many different forms. Punya in form of a great artist. Punya in form of a great scientist. Punya in form of what? A person who is doing amazing social work. All different manifestations of punya, depending upon the actions that you have done. Every privilege that you enjoy today in your life, please don't dismiss it as material this and material that. That is a stupid way of looking at things. See it as result of your punya. You have deserved it, you have done something good to have these privileges. Use them appropriately.
So as he was asking, that what is the cause of the causal?
That we are looking. Let's first look at what is the cause of this physical body and the mind. Okay?
The punya
So
is the causal, not the cause of the causal.
punya is the causal with reference to what we call prajna. Punya and papa, okay, is the one which is continuing after the drop of this body. Okay, and then what happens? It gives me different bodies and mind to interact with the world, because the unseen result of my actions I can only experience through a body. Without body I cannot go through either the pleasant or unpleasant experiences. So I need physical and subtle body to experiences the causes which are in my account. Okay? So this accumulated punya and papa, which are unseen result of my actions, is becoming what? My causal body.
One clarification. Adrushta phalam, positive is punya, negative is papa.
Exactly. You have a question?
But maybe I'm not sure now or in the evening. I'm still thinking about if subtle body is leading, and there will be a continuity.
Yes, through causal body. This is what I'm explaining.
Yeah, but it's in a different time and a different space.
Yeah.
I don't know how exactly it will be the continuity.
The causal remains, the
Yes.
bodies are changing.
Yeah.
Because
So-
the causes will decide, first of all, what kind of body you are going to get.
Mm.
Okay? And what kind of mind you are going to get. And what kind of experiences that you are going to go through.
This is for this lifetime. And if the subtle body is leaving, this I, this ahankara, there is no continuity, or still there is.
The causal is continuity, right? The causal is your account is different from my account,
Yeah.
right? That does not stop at the time of death.
See, maybe what he's asking, you tell me, where is it stored?
I stored, okay, so there is this is what we say, it is unmanifest.
Mm.
This is
Like
where,
seeds.
because the physical is manifest,
Mhm.
right? The subtle is manifest, but the causal is a potential. Okay?
Like
But that potential will lead to further manifestation. So you can't look for it's stored as a potential. It is not. It will give rise to different manifestations. So that means, where is the connection between present moment and the next moment? Where is it stored? Where is it stored?
causal body.
Exactly.
And this is my causal body.
Exactly.
And this my causal body will stay.
Exactly.
Bodies are changing.
Account
Yes.
will continue.
The account will continue. Okay.
There's no
So-
way then this lifetime itself that you causes.
You can. This is why we are. That's why we are studying Vedanta, right? So that is the next step. But we have to understand what is our existence here. There are 4 parts of Atma. We have looked at physical, subtle, causal, and then there is a 4th one remaining. And 4th one is the key for you to get out of the whole thing. But that you still have to wait one more class. Okay? But you need to, it's not about just talking about realities. That doesn't get you anywhere. You have to understand, because you're here. You have to make sense of this world. You can't just think about Brahman and this, and you'll be floating in the air, not seeing the realities. Because all these are there and you are not seeing them. You need to see all of this, and plus you have to see something more.
It says it's Anandmay.
Yeah.
So Anandmay, how does it relate to Papa and Punya?
Yeah. Okay. Now, here the way the causal is available to you in while you are alive is mentioned. Okay? Because you are given an insight into the presence of causal. What is the purpose of this verse? It makes you see that you think that you are just physical and subtle body. In fact, you don't even know that. You just have this sense of I. You don't even know what it means. Okay? So now, systematically, what you are shown is, when you say this I, what are you referring to? You are referring to what? The physical body. You are referring to the subtle. Even though, in fact, before you come to Vedanta, you don't even look upon yourself like that. Okay? And you are also referring to that causal. Then you said, how do I know there is causal? So this is when your own experience of deep sleep is used to say that you have no connection with the physical and subtle, but you are still very much there. Okay? And when you have that no connection with subtle and physical, there is a certain what? Repair, rejuvenation, certain ananda, because it's a huge thing to shed all the problems related to the physical and subtle. Okay? But as long as the causal is there, you can maybe get rid of physical and subtle for a while, but what? You will continue to come back. Just after deep sleep, as you come back to awaking, again connected to your physical and subtle, after the body dies, you will come back connected to another physical and subtle body. So as long as the causal remains, it's a connecting link between not only this from the sleep to the waking, okay, but also from one body to the other. Yes? You understand? Okay.
One small clarification. Go ahead.
Okay. Is it okay?
You said punyam and papam. Punyam is when you're doing good, and papam is when you do wrong.
See, it's an unseen result. Please understand. It's not when you are doing good or when you are not doing good. It's a result which goes into causal body. I'm explaining what is causal body. Because otherwise you say, there is a causal body, but what constitutes that causal body, nobody knows. Okay, what are those causes which will anything? You know, you have a physical body, you have a subtle body. You have to ask why, and that why is answered by causal. Causal means what? Your own causes, right? Which have created why my body is different from your body, because my causes are different from your causes. So what are those causes? Those causes are what? My punya and papa, which are different from your punya and your papa.
May I ask something? That's why you yesterday you said that objects don't have a causal body, because objects doesn't have actions, emotions.
Exactly. In fact, there again, Vedanta, I mean, they don't have subtle also. See, they don't have subtle. They don't have subtle means that they don't make a choice. When you don't make a choice, you're not responsible for results, right? This.
Or the cow can make that choice.
The cow is more or less programmed. So the cow is not so much responsible for the choice, because it does have some basic perception and inference, but it doesn't really enjoy the free will like a human being. Okay? So therefore, a cow is programmed to have grass, for example. It doesn't have to make a choice, oh, that, you know, should I eat chicken today or should I eat grass today? Okay? And a lion is programmed to be a carnivore. It doesn't have a choice. It's programmed. Okay? But a human being has a choice. I can choose. And because I can choose, and also I understand that just as I don't want to be harmed, okay, others don't want to be harmed. That is also given to me. But if I go against that, then what? There is a cost. And the harm is not ordinary, you are killing. It's not an ordinary harm. You are taking a life. Okay.
So causal is your own causes have created that
Sanchita karma. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. So all these, okay, now let me explain a little bit more about how does this causal body work. Okay, so all the unseen result of good actions which are called punya, and unseen result of inappropriate actions which are called papa, I can't go through all the unseen result in this lifetime. Okay, so some are carried forward. So this carried forward is then going to become the cause for me to get what? Another body and another set of subtle mind, right? Because everybody's subtle mind is also different. Okay. So this is what a continuing link. So that means that there are individuals, right? You perform a karma, you get the result for that, not me. Of course, we are connected, that I will take in the totality. But so that means that there is this huge, in my causal, there is this huge account of unseen results of actions, which are both in form of what? Appropriate actions, which are punya, and inappropriate actions, which are papa, which are innumerable, because I have had many, many different births. Okay? So there are lots and lots and lots are all in my account, the causal. Okay? So everything I cannot experience in what, 80 years or 90 years lifespan. So out of this entire bag, which is what we call Sanchita Karma, as Savita said, only a given set manifest to give me what? I need a body to go through experiences which will give me pleasure and pain, to go through my own what? My own experiences of my own actions. Okay? So it will give a certain set of karma, will give me a given physical body and a given mind. Those set of karmas are what we call prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means out of this huge big set, a given set has already pra-arabdha. Arabdha means already started, and pra is prakarshena arabdha. It is not just randomly started. Your body is given just not dropping because of some random thing. No. It is very well designed depending upon what your own actions are and what situations in life you have to go through. Okay, so then you have what we call sanchita karma. Okay, then you have what? Prarabdha karma. As you are going through situations, okay, you also have to what? Now if you are born as a human being or equivalent, you are also given what? Free will to act. So not only you are going through the experiences which are in keeping with what? The past causes, right, that you are experiencing, but what? You are constantly, when you make a decision, you are creating what?
More.
A new, exactly, you are creating a new cause. Absolutely. This new karma that you accumulate in this life is what we call agami karma. There is this huge account. Out of this, a set comes to give you this given body and mind, and this given situation and this particular course, your talents, your parentage, your all these, the people that you are related to in this life, everything comes somehow as a result of your prarabdha karma. But at any given point in time, you can choose to act differently. Okay? And when you exercise that choice, you then get new karma. This new accumulation is what we call agami karma. Okay? At the end of this life, this agami karma goes and joins what? Sanchita karma. Okay? This is what we mean by causal body. Okay? And that causal body, what? It continues on and on and on until we will see what. Okay? So this is what we call vyashti causal body. This is what we call prajnaha. Prajnaha, your question is very appropriate. Prajna, when he talks about here, is with reference to, first you'll ask, where is this prajna? How do I know there is prajna? So you're given a state where you are, but you are without what? Connection with physical and subtle body. So you're there unmanifest, but you come into manifestation again. Again in the morning, as Neelu says, you wake up connected to the same body and same mind. So that means something continued. What is it that continued, even though the world collapsed in your awareness, is the causal. There was a causal, which gave rise to what? Connection to the same body until you are alive the next day. Okay? But the causal body does not go away when this physical body drops. Okay? It comes back, like what connected to some other physical and subtle body. So the causal body continues.
So this whole cycle is called prajna.
This whole causal cycle is called prajna. Exactly. Okay? So now, as Uddhav asked, what is the cause of the cause? So this is what we call the samashti cause. Okay? That is what we call what? For Vishwa, there was Virat. For Tejasa, there was Hiranyagarbha. For Prajna, there is samashti causal, which connects everything. Right? This is what we call Ishvara. We will see that in the next class. Okay. This is what the causal, who keeps the account and who organizes all the causes to come together at this given point in time to manifest in this manner. This is what we call the cause of the causal. Okay?
Samashti.
This is samashti causal, is what we call Ishvara. Okay? That is explained in the next verse. We will see in the next class.
Just one point. That means with Agami karma,
Yes.
which goes into your Sanchit karma,
Yes.
you can also negate a lot of your papas and kind of change your main big account also, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So you can,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. You
Yes.
can add punya there and remove papa and delete
Absolutely.
and add and all that.
Absolutely.
So that is you do through Agami.
Yes, exactly. Because that, exactly, absolutely.
which
Today's
comes down-
action
yeah, which
not
comes
only
down-
changes your present, but also
The-
all the
the back.
future.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
yes,
this
yes,
moment, this life,
Yes.
you can affect a difference in
exactly.
your oncoming births
Absolutely.
in that account.
Yes, the whole
So you
account.
can cause a change.
Absolutely. Because that account itself is not static. Very true. Because constantly some are getting expanded, some are accumulated. So it's constantly changing, right?
So what you do today, you can make a difference to your
Absolutely.
bank account.
Yes, absolutely.
This is some insurance.
Shona, just repeat the line, na? The whole of Prajna.
The whole causal cycle is called prajna.
With an individual, exactly, is called prajna. Absolutely. Right? Now we will see samashti prajna, because your causal is not operating independently. There is a one cause which is just as there is one physical in which all these physical are part. Right? There is one causal in which all the physical, all the causal are the part of what, and that is what we call Ishvara. We will see in the next.
See, when I say I take rebirth, actually I don't take rebirth.
Yeah.
The
causal body.
causal body goes into other body.
Yeah.
I don't go into other body.
Because
This was my
yeah,
question.
so but
That was my
then
question.
you tell me what exactly
What's
you mean
I?
by this I.
I.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You keep on talking this I, but what is this I that
Yes.
you are talking
What is
about?
the
The I is
relation
not
of
your
I?
body.
We
The
come
I
down
is
to that particle, which is a part of the whole existence.
okay. So we will see the who is this I which takes all these different births, right? Because this I that you think, who, first of all, before you come to Vedanta, forget this physical body, subtle body. You tell me, you keep on using I, your whole life is connected to I. What is I?
Before Vedanta.
Yeah.
Before coming to the class, I would have said I. Now I can't.
To me, I is my ideas, my thoughts, my desires, my likes, my dislikes. What I identify with as my character, my innate.
Okay.
nature.
So what she's saying is exactly, now look back at this subtle. When we talked about subtle, the four aspects of mind, okay, what are these four aspects of mind we saw? We saw manas, we saw buddhi, we saw chitta, and we saw ahankara. This ahankara, what? Keeps on getting connected, that I sense gets connected to your emotions, this I sense gets connected to what? Your buddhi, your cognitive capacity, your I sense gets connected to what? Your memories, and it becomes like as though one continuous entity, even though it's changing all the time. Okay, so when before Vedanta, okay, when you say I, what are you referring to? As Shona very rightly says, you are referring to this ahankara, the I sense. Okay? Now, this I sense you are born with what? With a certain type of emotions, you are born with certain type of cognitive capacity, Okay, you're born with, the capacity to memorize things in which you store many different things. This has come because of what? Why have you been born with this I sense, which is different from her I sense? Her emotional life is different, her cognitive capacities are different. There are causes. Exactly, that's what we mean. You've not just landed up here with this I sense, just like that. Okay? So this is what we say, you have come with this because of the causes. That is a continuity. That continuity is what? The causal. Okay? So don't think that for you, your I started when you were born, when you had this mind. What we are saying is this I sense started with the body, what? As a manifestation. Before that it was unmanifest. Unmanifest where? In the causes. What causes? Your punya and papa. Okay? Your I sense is constantly changing. There is no continuity. But it seems continuous. And even the karma, as Neeru very rightly said, they actually keep changing. Even the sanchita, there is no static sanchita. Constantly what you're getting rid of some and you're acquiring new. Very true. But still it seems like a continuous entity.
So does this I sense, can you say that that is the prarabdha? No.
Yeah, so yes, in some ways my present I sense that I have, my emotional makeup is unique to mine, right? And my cognitive capacity, and I can be very good at either science, or I can be an economist, or I can be a painter, or all that is my own, right? So this is my prarabdha is giving me a different sense of I than your sense of I. So that is because of prarabdha. The present I as you experience before you come to Vedanta, where you say I'm like this, I'm like that, which is what? It is what? It's coming, it's a gift given to you because of your prarabdha.
That whole makeup.
That whole makeup, exactly.
Physical as well as mental, psychological, everything is the prarabdha.
Exactly. And then you change. Then because you can always change. It's not totally programmed. Is it clear?
At least at this moment.
Okay. So now we will see samashti cause. Okay, which is because for everything there is vyashti and then there is samashti. So the cause of all, who carries all these different, your account, my account, your account, this account, that account, the causes within causes, within causes, within causes. Where is this so-called computer which keeps track of everything and keeps on organizing life? What? One given point in time, one cause manifests, the other cause becomes unmanifest. Then one more manifestation, then that unmanifest. Constant changes within which there is as though stability. This is what we call Ishvara. Okay. Samashti cause, that we will see in the next class.
This is so amazing.
Vedanta is amazing.
Just one quick question. Vyashti again, I think.
Okay, Vyashti is an individual and Samashti is the total. So, for example, wave is called Vyashti, ocean is called Samashti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Shanti.